Thanks, everyone. Welcome to our talk here. I'm talking today. I'm Heather Arnold, and I was local history librarian here at Casey Cardinia Libraries, but now I'm president of the Currier Swamp Historical Society, but I'm still interested in family history. So I'm going to tell you today about family history databases. So we'll look at Family Search, which is the Latter-day Saints database. And then we'll look at Find My Past and Ancestry. So there's the three that we're looking at. But what we're going to do, so you can actually, before I do that, okay, I'll go back again. The three databases, Family Search, Find My Past and Ancestry, are all similar in some ways, but different in some ways. So they're just like cars. Cars are all the same, but cars are all different, if you get what I mean. So they're essentially a database of databases, so which can all be accessed by the one search or by federated searches, we librarians like to call it. So we can, and they all contain the same sort of information: birth, death, and marriage information, military information, shipping records, census records, wills, education records, etc. So they're all the same, but they're all a bit different. But Family Search, which we'll look at first, you can access through anywhere from home. It's free. But the Find My Past and Ancestry, you can either subscribe to it yourself or you can access it through the library. And because I'm not in the library, but Michelle is, we'll just start this off by Michelle going to our website and showing you how you access Find My Past and Ancestry from in the library. So over to you, Michelle.
Okay, so everybody should be able to see the library website?
Yes.
Yes. Cool. So once you get to the library website, if you just tap on the little menu up the top there, and then go to Online Resources and then Genealogy. And there's the two links to Ancestry and Find My Past. If you click on either of those, and I'll just show you briefly, there's the link to Ancestry. And then if I go back to Find My Past, and there's the link to Find My Past. So if you click those, it gives you access basically to the library edition of those two products. So it's not as fully featured as the ones that you subscribe to yourself, but you can access it either in the library with your own device, as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, or through one of the library's computers. The one difference between them is with Find My Past, if you set up a free account and do your searches in the library, when you get home, you can access the results of those searches through your free account, but you can't conduct any new searches. So you can get the results if you do the searches through the library, but then you can access it through your account at home, but just not do any further searches. Very popular. It was even more popular whilst over COVID. They gave us remote access, but we've gone back to in-library access only, but they are free for anybody to log into to access and do family history search.
Thank you. So now I might share my screen. So we'll have a look in more detail at Find My Past and at Ancestry down the track during this talk, but I'm going to share my screen. But before we start with those ones, I'm going to look at, Family Search. We're going to look at Family Search. So Find My Past and Ancestry, as I said, you can subscribe to those databases. They cost hundreds of dollars a year to subscribe. But Family Search is a program or a database from the Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they maintain Family Search. And they claim they have the largest collection of family history, family trees and genealogy records in the world, and it's free. You can log on from anywhere. You just have to create a free account. So you can't search unless you have a free account, but you know it doesn't take much to get an account. And it's got quite an extensive geographic spread. So it's very good for what I call non-Anglo ancestors. So, you know, if there's family history records in South America, well, Family Search is a place to go to look for them, or any other country. I mean, it's easy to get family history records from Australia, from Canada, from New Zealand, and all the other sort of English-speaking countries, but it's often harder to trace your ancestors from other countries. So they say they have records from 1700 onwards, and you can put your own family tree onto it as well. So one of the great things about Family Search is that the Latter-day Saints have spent years and years, before family history became fashionable, years and years and years, microfilming parish records from all around the world, and then indexing the parish records and then they're freely available on Family Search. It used to be and they still have these family history centres. It used to be you go to one of the family history centres, and there's one in Fox Road in Narre North, and you could order the films in from Salt Lake City. They only charge you $5 or something to order the film in, so they're incredibly generous in sharing all their records. And but now most of them are online. So, and some of them you can get the databases or the microfilm records are online, but they haven't actually finished indexing them yet. So, because indexing, of course, takes a lot of time. You have to index, and you obviously have to check it. Then it has to be uploaded to the computer. So, it is actually a very time-consuming activity. And apparently, if you wish to, you can see at the top here, you can actually be a volunteer and index some of the records. So, if you've got some spare time, which most people who do family history don't have any spare time because they're devoted to that, well, you could help with their indexing project. So we'll just have a quick look at this search here. So just go to search, and we'll try again. I'll search records, sorry. Read the screen, Heather, would be useful. And we'll make it a bit smaller. So you can search by just a general search here. So if I put in Horatio Weatherhead as my grandfather, great-grandfather, the usual person I search for, you'll get, like you normally get when you do family ancestry or Find My Past, you get a whole long list of hits. So the first one is my grandfather. The second one's my grandfather. Horatio Nelson Weatherhead, don't know who he is, but, you know, they could be related. So you just get, you know, like you normally do with these databases, a long list of hits, which you can then filter through either birth period, marriage period, residence, where they came from, those sorts of things. So, so in that sense, Family Search is similar to Find My Past and Ancestry as well. So if you think that this is your man, you can click on Horatio, and the information comes up at the side here. Just more information, buried at Bunyip Cemetery. Well, I know for a fact that he was. So, and then if you wanted to, you can add that information to your family tree, which we'll show you in a minute. So that's the general search. If you go back to searching records here, they have, and this is cool, so find a collection. So if you're thinking, okay, I'm interested in seeing records for Freemasons, you can start typing in Freemasons. Well, obviously they don't have them, so let's try, oh, well, I'll look for Presbyterians instead. So just start typing the word, and it thinks, oh, Scottish Presbyterian Protestant Church records. You know, if you had ancestors who were Protestant and came from Scotland, this might be a useful database for you. So then you can start searching those particular databases. So that's a really good sort of feature, that you can actually tailor your search to whatever you want, or if you want, we'll go back to that Find My Collection. If you're interested in Alabama, we'll search for Alabama because it's easy to spell, and she spelled it wrong, Alabama, B-A-M-A. And then there's all these records here for Alabama. So you can search. So this Find a Collection is quite a useful feature, and that's a newish feature. I haven't looked at this for a while, but that's a new feature from when I looked at it last time, that you can actually tally your searches, or put census in. So let's put in census and see what we get. And I've got Alabama census, but anyway, so that's quite a useful feature. The other thing that's really, really good about Family Search, we'll go back to records, is on this search page is search by place. So we'll put in Iceland and click. So what you get is learning courses. So what they have here at the top here, they have a whole lot of little tutorials on how to search for records in whatever country you're in. So nearly all the countries they cover, they have little tutorials for you. So if you're really interested in Icelandic genealogy, this is a good place to start. They have a family history wiki. So let's look on that. And waiting. and that tells you how to so that's the other one was tutorials, like video tutorials, and this is more information about how to research your Icelandic ancestors, and bit of a list here of the sort of tools that you could use, a bit of a map of Iceland. There was a bit of a history of the area, and they've obviously got places and other records that they have here. So very comprehensive sort of help in how to research your ancestors from particular areas. So, and that's why, if you, as I said, if you really want what I call non-Anglo records, the family search, which is free, is really the place to start. You can log onto anywhere from home. It's a really, really good good research resource. We'll go back to Iceland, and then you can also then enter your ancestor's name and see what information they have, or search by. Now, so as you can see, they only really have seven databases that cover Iceland, and that's because a lot of you know, some countries aren't into family history as much as we are, as much as Australia is. But you know, if there is a database that covers Iceland or whatever country you're interested in, I'm sure Family Search has it or can help you with it. So that would be that's a really great way to search. The other thing about searching is you can also click on a map, search by place. So we'll put in Asia, and then you get Asia. Then you search here by Middle East, countries in the Middle East, and you get back to the same spot. When you get to, say, to Brunei, what you've got, what information they have for searching your ancestors in Brunei. So Family Search, can really recommend it, and it's free, which is even better. Now we'll go to the family tree. I've just got a very quick family tree I've put up on here, and this is my own tree. So this is John, my husband's grandmother. We'll look at Emma. And the family trees on Family Search are similar to family trees on Ancestry and family trees on Find My Past. They all sort of work the same way. But interestingly enough, as you can see here on their left, that they have they partner with Ancestry and Find My Past as well. So you can actually search ancestry records through Find My Past, and so through Family Search. So that's quite useful. And then you can add. Do they show hints? They have hints somewhere. Research help, and they have hints somewhere which I can't see off the top of my head, but they do have hints if they think there's more information, and I can't actually see any hints on here. Just that was a wrong choice of a person, but anyway, you get what I mean. So that's Emma Creek, and that's sort of what their family tree format looks like. Right. So that's Family Search. Yes, as I said, well worth looking at, and because it's free, you can look at it any time. You can look at it at midnight at home. You can look at it any time. So always go, if you can't find your information somewhere else, always go and look at that. You can also, of course, search other people's family trees and connect to those as well, because every person has a individual number. So they do actually, you can connect to other people as well. So that's Family Search. Now we'll go to Find My Past. So Find My Past, which I subscribe to at home, it's similar to what you'll get in the library, but as Michelle said, it's not quite the full thing. It's what you get. No, so the library version doesn't have everything that you get if you subscribe yourself. So, but it does have a lot of the features of Find My Past. And the best thing, as Michelle said about Find My Past, is if you look at it in the library and you look on certain records, you can go home and actually look at those same records again at home by logging into Find My Past if you create a free account. And the free account allows you to put your own family tree up, and as I said, access records that you've looked at in the library. You can look at them at home as well. You can't look at new records though. So that's quite a generous thing that they're doing. So, because you have to realize, of course, I mean, I know it's a lot of money, like it's hundreds of dollars that you pay for Find My Past or for Ancestry to subscribe, but it takes it takes a lot of money to maintain these databases, and a lot of the money is in the indexing, because indexing is a very time-consuming thing. So unless you have a lot of volunteers like Family Search does, if you're paying for people to actually do the indexing, like that's a lot of money that you're putting towards it. So you can actually understand why they charge. So so this is the Find My Past main screen. Find My Past say that they have over 50 million records for Australia. So they're quite good for Australia, Papua New Guinea and the Pacific Islands. So that's one of their strong points, they say. And they have a large collection of New Zealand records as well. I quite like Find My Past, but I'll be quite honest, and you'll find this out when I come to Ancestry. I love Ancestry. Like if I said that you'll get a handout at the end of this, Michelle will email you the handout just with the URLs and everything. But you know, in the end, if you have to make a choice between Find My Past and Ancestry, if you can only afford one database, I would actually go with Ancestry. I just think it's better, but I don't want to say that too publicly. But you know, Find My Past is quite good, but in my opinion, not as good as Ancestry. So you can create your family tree on this. They have records back. They have quite an extensive period of records back to 1500. And they also have quite an extensive, lot of records from different countries. But like all these three databases, I mean, the amount of records they have on each country depends on what's available and what they can get access to. Because people like Find My Past and people like Ancestry, so they would license, so they make agreements with the Victorian Births, Deaths and Marriages, they make agreements with the Victorian Public Records Office, they make agreements with the Scottish Records Office, and they have all these agreements that they can access their material and put it online. So it's sort of like a licensing agreement. So so it just depends who they who they can make the agreements with, which government bodies they can make the agreements with, and how much it costs and what regulations they have. Because sometimes the Public Records Office might, for instance, might let them use the information and they could index it, but they don't let them use the images. It just depends on the agreements that they have. So you'll find that the material they have on Find My Past and Ancestry does sometimes vary, and often varies between the databases as well. So one of the good things about Find My Past, so we'll just do a search to show what it looks like. And it's basically the same as what you get when if you're in the library version. So I've put in Horatio Weatherhead. I got view 19,000 results. Well, clearly that's, you know, ridiculous. So we'll just put in, he was born in 1844. I know that. So I've put that in, and now you can see here that we've only got we've got 30 results. So that's a bit more relevant to be a bit more relevant to me. So if we go to Horatio, that's his will here, his marriage, his divorce, and I found this out. So this divorce clause book is from the Public Records Office of Victoria, and I was actually I may have told you this story, another in another presentation. I was going through the Public Records Office of Victoria website and found Horatio Weatherhead. My great grandfather had a put in to divorce his wife of about 60 years. Like, he was in his 80s and so was she. I was absolutely astounded because they were all good Methodists and everything, and I would have thought that they would have stuck together through thick and thin. But you know, he claimed that his wife Eleanor wouldn't live with him because he lived they had a timber mill out the back at North Tynong. It would have been like, they moved there in 1909, and then she wanted to live in Tynong in the town, and he wanted to live in the timber mill. I mean, I understand why she didn't want to live with him. And then because it would have just been so isolating out there, and Tynong, if you know Tynong, is not much of a town, but at least it would have been a bit more of a bright lights place than the timber mill. And anyway, so I don't think the divorce ever went through, but I did find that out. So you can see the record, you can see that here through Find My Past, because I clearly have that have licensed that from the Public Records Office. So there's government gazettes. He's in that because I know that because he's had a patent. That's his son, whose marriage record. So there's various sort of records here. You can see shipping records here. That's another Weatherhead. But the various sort of types of records, and you can either view the transcript. So in this case, they only have the transcript, or this one here. You can see they have an image as well. So and that's a PDF, so that's the actual document. So it just depends. That's one of the features of Find My Past. It tells you what sort of, whether you can see the transcript or not, or what sort of document it is. So that's quite useful. And once again, you could have filtered your results if you did a search. We'll just go back to the search screen. You can filter your results by or have a better, more targeted search by deciding that you really want, religious records, and then you might decide to put the date of birth in, or limit it by the type of record or where the records come from. But as always, my advice to anyone who's searching for anything is just put a name in, and once you've got the results up, filter the results after you've searched, because sometimes you limit yourself. So I put in Horatio Weatherhead, and if I decide I want everyone born in 1844 and everyone born in Melbourne in 1844, you might find that your information is wrong, or they've indexed it wrong and you miss out on a record. So I just think you just do a general search and then filter down by place or by category of record or something like that. So that's just the general search. We'll go back to search your records. So one of the things that Find My Past has is the 1921 census record, which everyone was apparently waiting for, and I can see why. It's the English census. So it came out just in January this year. I haven't actually got a person. Look for Anne McLean. Michelle said there's a relative of yours who is in the 1921 census. Surely there must be. There's an Anne McLean here. So so what's Find My Past have done is that they've done all the indexing of it, but even though you subscribe to Find My Past, you can get the transcript. But if you want to see the actual, oh no, you can't even get the transcript. Yeah, they charge per oh, look at my credit card details. Let's get out of this one. They charge per view, because they had thought, so they didn't want to bump the price up of Find My Past, because not everyone wants a 1921 census. So they decided to index it, make it available. But if you want the transcript, you have to pay for each transcript, and that's the way they've decided to do that. However, eventually this will be free. So if you just wait long enough, but census records are so wonderful to tell you who lived in the house at the time, and where they lived, and what family members lived with them, and what their occupation was, and things like that. So it's a really valuable thing. But at the moment, Find My Past is charging just to view the transcripts. The other thing they have, we'll go back to, I'll show you we'll go back to search. No, we'll go back to here. So they also have, which is an add-on, which I quite like. They have newspapers and periodicals. But this is, so when you subscribe to Find My Past, you have to pay for British newspapers as a separate thing. So it's about another $100 a year. I mean, I actually do that because I do a lot of research. But so British newspapers, you can actually view you can actually search the British newspapers through the State Library of Victoria, and it's free. So they have the database. So it's free to search through the State Library of Victoria, but you have to go to Find My Past to actually get the to actually view the transcripts, to view the images. So this is sort of an example of where Find My Past once again partners with the State Library or other places like that. So it's not as good as Trove, but we'll just put in, see what we get. But you'll find out next week when I do my talk on Trove. I don't think anything's as good as Trove, but anyway, oh, nothing there. Gosh, we'll just try another search. Okay, here we are. I've just put in Weatherhead now. So what you get, we'll have a look at this. This is just an example of Weatherhead in 1939. Could be related to you. So Mrs. Weatherhead, she was interned at Thornbury. So So this is the sort of example you get if you pay for the newspapers. So it is quite handy if you do a lot of research to have access to the old newspapers, but it's up to you whether you think it's worth paying that extra money. But you can't access the British newspapers through the library subscription. So I'll go back to Find My Pass. 1939 register I was going to tell you about. Of which I can't. So I also have the 1939 register, which I can't actually see it here. Oh gosh, it's a bit slack. It's usually the first thing I see when I do it. Anyway, so the 1939 register you can access through Find My Past, and that is a list of people they made up for the war of a list of people who lived in England during the war. So even though the census records aren't up to date to that time, if the people who are so they've got the name of the person, the address of the person, and their occupation, and who lives in the household. So it's a good way to see who was in where your ancestors were in 1939. And they are here, 1939 register. You can access this through the library. This is really good. So we'll just put in Weatherhead search. And what you get is, and we'll get the image. So this is what you get. So Robert Bowen lived in South Lodge. He was a male, born 22nd of June 1906. He's a cowman. His wife is unpaid domestic duties. You can see the list here. They have the little baby with them as well. So all these things is just a list of people, I presume, in case, disaster happened in England was overrun. List of people and their occupation. So anyone who's crossed out are people who they think might still be alive. But essentially, if they feel, well, this person was 1938, so there must be a cut-off period. So maybe if they're over 80 or under 80, they're not listed on this. But it's a good way to sort of work out where your ancestors were at the time or your family members were at the time. So that's a 1939 project, which you can actually still get on Ancestry as well. But it is one of the features of Find My Past. I'll quickly show you the trees. So I've got a quick family tree on here. And as you see, it will look exactly the same. This is this one here. It looks the same sort of as the one you get on Find My Family Search. That's grandma, great-grandma. So that's Eleanor Hunt, and that just tells you. So once again, you can see here on the left here that 4 hints. So the hints about other possible bits of information about her. We'll look at those. So there's a birth record, a member's family tree, a civil death record, and a marriage record here. So they're just various hints that that you get, which you can then connect to. You can also add documents and things like that. Or if you search a record and you find her record, you can add it to your family tree, and that's the same as with Ancestry as well. So it's quite good. It's quite good. As I said, I think last week or the week before, that it's if you subscribe to Find My Past, it's a good place to keep your family tree. On the other hand, it's pretty public, and if you just decide to stop subscribing, well, then you sometimes have issues with access. So you just have to decide whether it's worth it in the end, whether you want to go down that way or not. But that's Find My Past. Look, it's quite good, and I find things on here that you can't see on Ancestry. One of the good things about here is I found this out. Here's a man I was researching, and it's got the so what they have on here, which you don't get anywhere else, are the Victorian Petty Sessions registers. So if your one of your relatives was involved in a little court case, like a magistrate's case. So this is which one is it? So if they're a witness or the defendant or the plaintiff, they will be listed in here. And of course, cannot find it. Anyway, you get the picture. So here's Samuel Harris, and he was a defendant. Oh, there we are, Paola. He was a defendant, and the complainant was Evans Brothers, and clearly they thought that perhaps he hadn't paid his bill or something. So it's just an interesting sort of aspect of someone's life that, and it's the information you can't get anywhere else, because I know for a fact this isn't on Ancestry, and it's just sort of it just it helps build a picture of your ancestors and how that, or of your relatives and how they lived their life. And that's what I think is really good about that. So that's the Court of Petty Sessions records on Find My Past, which is something, as I said, you can't get anywhere else. Right. So my advice to you is go to the library, log in to Find My Past, as long as you got a library card, log in to Find My Past and just have a look at it. And, or if you don't want to subscribe to it, you don't need to subscribe, but just go there because you can download the record. So every time you see a record, we'll go back to you can download this record here. Just save it to your laptop or save it to your USB, and then you can just look at it at home. So that's one of the good things about it. You don't need to, if you don't want to pay your $100 a year to hundreds of dollars a year to go to Find My Past, go through the library, have a binge session, download all the records you want, and then look at them properly at home. So that's a good way to do it. You might as well get the most out of your library card. Right. Now, I'm going to go on to now Ancestry, because I'm going to tell you from the start, I told you this, I love Ancestry. Like, it's just one of my favourite things, and I'll spend a bit more time on it than I have the others because I'm more familiar with it. But so the Ancestry Ancestry, so it has a very extensive collection, but the advertising is a little bit incorrect because they say things like, I've seen the ads, I just typed in a name and my whole family came up. Well, that doesn't happen all the time. In fact, it doesn't happen sometimes at all. So I've searched for people. I do a lot of research. And what I do now is I create a family tree for people I'm researching because it helps me keep the information together. So I'll show you one of the trees in a minute. But this is how many trees I've got. I've got about 30 of them online. And most of them aren't my own family. And I can tell you that, I put a person's name in and I often don't find any information on Ancestry. So their ads aren't quite telling the truth. But they do have lots and lots of records, and it's sort of a fun site, I think. So once again, if you want to, that's free. You can use this through your library, as Michelle said. You don't need to subscribe. It's very worldwide. It has quite a large geographic spread. It's probably more extensive than Find My Past, but it does have, quite a lot of records. Periods, they date back to the 1500s, and you can put your own family tree on it. So it is very American, and it's surprising when you look at the American records how information varies between states. Some American states have records from the 1970s or 1980s, which we wouldn't be able to access here due to privacy reasons. But for some reason in America, depends on what state it is and what their privacy sort of considerations are. So what I like about this, what I use all the time on this is the Electoral Roll. So Electoral Rolls, Victorian, they've got Australian Electoral Rolls from 1903 to 1980, and they're so much fun. They've got Victorian rape books, and they're just amazing. And they've got the 1939 register, but they've also got Freemason records. So if your ancestor was a Freemason, they're on here as well. So they're the sort of things that I use all the time. They have the London Parish records. They have, as I said, all the UK Census records, they have, which is the other ones have as well. They have lots and lots of things. And so you can either do a general search here, or if you go up to search and you go to card catalogue, this is where, like we saw with family search, you can just do like a general search. Just make sure, and I do this all the time, see where it says only records from Australia, just make sure you unclick that, or unless that's what you really want, because I couldn't, until I made it as a bookmark, I could never find the Freemason records. And it's because they're actually English records. Freemasons. Is it going to get me up? Yeah. So so they have the Grand Lodge of Ireland and the Grand Lodge of England the Grand Lodge of Ireland, Grand Lodge of England, and people who joined lodges in Australia, they are also listed on this as well. So if your ancestor was a Freemason who joined who was a Freemason in Australia before 1921, they would be listed on this Grand Lodge of England or the Grand Lodge of Ireland. So that's a really great resource for Freemason records. And it seems like my grandfather was a Freemason. There was quite a popular thing to join in times gone by. So once we go to search, we'll go back to search again. So you can search here as we did by the card catalogue, or once again, I would just advise you to put a name in. Just can't even spell it. O-A-T-H. Oh my goodness me, I've lost the plot here. Yeah, better spell this. Okay, that's better. So I've filled it in. We'll just go search. And there's 364 records. So I've got the so you can start filtering your results down. You can decide you want Australian records or whatever other sort of records you want, or keep it in Australia. You can decide you want census records, birth, deaths and marriage records, military records, whatever. You can start filtering down your results to get what you really want. And also, or else you can look for family trees, and that connects you to other family trees which cover Horatio Weatherhead. So this is a divorce record with the same one that we had on Find My Past. Marriage record, government gazette. Oh, what's that? Oh, this would be the. Oh, something new I haven't seen. That's the patent. Oh, that's his patent that he got. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's his patent. So lots of different things here. And you can see here, we'll just go back to that actually, how they've partnered with this New South Wales State Records Office. So they've got some sort of licensing agreement with them. It used to be that for the rape books that you could, no, the shipping records. Some of the shipping records that for a while, Ancestry had volunteered to do the indexing of the shipping records of the Public Records Office of Victoria and do the digitising or something like that. And then they had like a 5-year period where they had exclusive use of it. But now a lot of them are back with the Public Records Office. But it's a good thing. I mean, it's a good way to do it because it just means that more records get indexed, more records get digitised, and that's what you want. So wills, another gazette, that would be another patent, death records, cemetery records, all those sorts of records that you see with all the other databases, and they're all here. So there's lots and lots of them. Now, you could have, of course, we'll go to search, decided that really what you wanted was to search the Australian voters list or the UK Census collection. So you could have done that to start off with, and for the UK Census collection especially, I'd click on that, and then you decide that you really want to look at the 1891 English Census. And then we'll just put in, sure there'll be one. And we'll just look at this, doesn't really matter. So that's a census record. So I found that by deciding to just search specifically the 1891 English Census through the English Census records, I could have just put a search in for the person I wanted. Let's say it was John Blake, and I might have found him eventually. But even though I said to you, just do a general search and filter down. If you just really want to search the UK Census records, well, make sure you just click on that group of records. And the same way that you can do in Find My Past is just click on that group of records and search them specifically. So the census records are just, if you haven't seen them, amazing information. So that's John Blake, head of the household, his wife, daughter, son, daughter, son, lists of children, how old they are, where they were born, and what their occupation is. It's an amazing resource, the UK Census collection, if you haven't seen it. But Ancestry also have the Census collection for America, for Canada, and for lots of other places as well. So you know, they're quite good for that. It's not just the UK one, but I only have English ancestors. I don't have anyone from Canada, so or America. Electoral rolls. So I'll go back to search. I'll go back to here because I search for this all the time. Showing voter lists. And we want the electoral rolls, this one here. So these are so much fun. So these Australian electoral rolls, federal records from 1903 to 1980. And here we are. I'm actually on it because I'm so old. So this is B, and the first time I was enrolled was 1977. Here I am here. So you can look yourself up on Ancestry. I know it's pathetic, but I really like doing it. So apart from the privacy issue, well, you know, it's interesting when you're a family historian and what your views on privacy are. So so this is just the electoral roll from 1977. First year I was on it. That's me there, Heather Arnold, with Andrew Arnold, Balburney, name of the place where we lived, the property. And Frank is my dad, and Wendy, where's Megan? Where's Mum? That's Mum, and there's my sister Megan. So, you know, we were all there. And Frank Rovers, that is the man who lived 2 doors up from us, the man my sister married, and he's right underneath us in the electoral rolls. That's sort of romantic, I presume. And that's Eva Eleanor, that's grandma as well. So, and there's other people we don't know. So anyway, so that's sort of interesting for the electoral rolls. So not only looking yourself up, but you can, the interesting thing about the electoral rolls is that for a start, if you look at, say, the 1903 rolls, they if you look at the 1903 rolls, we'll look at Bunyip South, is that they in the early rolls, they were just quite specific. The divisions were quite specific. So so if you came from a town like I don't know, Timboon or somewhere, or some small town in the country, and you look through the electoral rolls, and it's not loading, what you see is a snapshot of who lived in the area at the time, because you just get, it's quite a, so this Bunyip South is Iona. So you basically get just 3 pages of everyone who lived in Bunyip South, or which is why what they call Iona now. And it's just like a whole, as I said, a snapshot of your town that you came from. It's just an amazing thing. So that's if you're into local history as well, that's a really great thing. So this is Currajong, wherever that is, obviously somewhere in Gippsland. I just tells you the people who live there, so, and who they are and their occupation, and women as well, of course, because women had got the vote with the, well, of course they had the vote with federal election. They had, some of the states had already given women the vote, but the women as well and their occupation. But virtually no matter what their occupation was, you're always going to find them under home duties, house duties for women. So that's the electoral rolls. That's a really good thing about Ancestry. Victorian rate books, they're really good. So if you're trying to find where people live, so the rate books cover not every place in rate books. Not every place, and there, once again, you can see here they're partnered with the Public Records Office of Victoria, so they cover various places, not everything. I always think, Michelle, we should get them onto the City of Cranbourne ones would be quite useful. And so you can either search within each particular place, or you can search by name. And the rate books, of course, tell you not only who owns the building, but who, these are just some random ones, who own, so this one here, Thomas Simmons, he paid the rates, and Louise Mayberry actually owned the property. So that gives you some idea of, from sort of 1850s onwards up to 1900, before the electoral rolls, it does give you some sort of idea of where people lived and whether they own the property. It also, of course, gives you a description of the property. I'll probably pick the wrong one here. A description such as, 4 rooms, brick house, or things like that. Does it tell you? There we go. Wood house, 4 rooms, shop and house, shop and 4 rooms. So it's got a house and a shop. Printing office, hotel, 11 rooms, shop with 5 rooms, made of brick. So useful information like that. And all this, once again, build up a picture of how your relatives or ancestors lived their life. And that's what's so good about this sort of extra information like that. So, of course, Ancestry also has birth, deaths and marriage records as well, and all those sorts of things. But it's just these sort of added databases that I really like, and I think are some of the great features of Ancestry and of course, Find My Past. So now we're going to look at a family tree. So as I said, I actually use family trees all the time. Oh, so hang on, we're in this record. Now we're in this record. We can, sorry, we'll go back to it. Back to this one, I'll do. You can save it. So this is save. So save to a person in your tree. So if this is connected to someone in your family tree, you can save it onto that. You can save it to your computer and just download it like you can with Find My Past. You can download the record. If you're in the library, download the record, save it to a USB or email it back to yourself, and you can look at it when you get home, or add it to your family tree. If you use another program like Legacy or anything, you can add it to your family tree because it just comes in as a JPEG. So it's just a JPEG or PDF. So it's just a normal document. So you can take advantage of what Ancestry has done for you, add it to anything else, or put it into a book if you're writing a book on your family, or else you can, if you're still doing pen and paper, that's okay. You print it out when you get home and add it to your file. So that's one of the great things about it. Or you can save it to your shoebox, and that's just like a thing on Ancestry that you can save to while you're still looking at it. So it's like a watch list. But save to your computer is the way to go, I think, because you can just download it. And as I said, look at it later when you get home. And I'm running out of time. Oh, I said to Michelle, I didn't think I had enough to talk about. And here I am, as usual, running out of time. Trees. So I do heaps of trees, as I said, and we'll look at an example why I think Ancestry is really good for family trees. So I do a lot of research, and I have a friend who says to me, putting someone else's tree up on Ancestry is wrong. And he feels that it's an invasion of privacy. Well, I sort of get what they're saying, but I don't get what they're saying because I'm looking at this one here. Right. Because I only look at sorry. That's what I want. I only use information that's available publicly. I don't do any private information, and I never put people up who are still alive. If I'm interested in Agnes Simmons, I mean, she didn't have any children. If I'm only interested in her, I wouldn't bother putting her children in unless they form part of the story. So, I see this whole invasion of privacy, but my view is that information that you get from Ancestry or the newspapers is public information in the first place, and that's all I put up there. And sometimes I know that my family trees I put up for people are better than other people. So are better than things you see on it. Because some family trees, so you can connect to family trees on Ancestry and Find My Past, but sometimes I tell you they're rubbish. They don't always, people don't always do the proper research. So I'm interested in Agnes Simmons because she had a house in St Kilda. I'm sort of going to write about her, and she was involved with some coal mining venture with another woman, Geraldine Monet, who I'm also researching. So I'm sort of interested for her. And then she moved to Callista, and she died in Callista in 1929. And when she died, apparently she had a whole menagerie of animals, and she was called the Hermit of Callista. So that's sort of why I'm interested in her. So I've just done a bit of a family tree when she said, and the reason I do it, and this is what the whole range of material you can get from Ancestry, is that you can get birth records, baptismal records, where she lives. So that's through the census. So if you find her in English census, you can get it there. Another census record, it's an arrival date, residence. So this one here, this residence date, I got through the Victorian rate book. So she was there. So once you save the record, you can then view it again. So that sort of proves that your information is correct. That's another residence. That was another rate book entry. This was an article from a newspaper, which I'll show you about this in a minute. And then as we get by later on through these records here, and these are records from the electoral rolls. So so it's just so I've sort of built a picture of her life after she arrived in Australia of where she was living here in St Kilda, and then the rate books actually tell us her occupation: teacher of gymnasium, teacher of swimming. So that gives you more information about the person you're interested in. And then once again, her this residence here, this is from the electoral roll. It tells you she's a swimming teacher and she lives in 94 Packington Street, St Kilda. So it's all it all just once again helps build up a picture of where I'll put my own notes on as well. So one of the benefits of Ancestry family trees, as you can see here, you can put your own notes but Ancestry didn't let me have 2 records for the same year, so I had to lie about the year, and I put a note on just for myself. So that's one of the great things about Ancestry. And you can create an event, add a fact. So if you decide you want to put a bar mitzvah if they're Jewish, or when the divorce was filed, or marriage contract, whatever, you can have all these, how much they weighed. You can build up a whole picture of your ancestor, or else just custom fact, and you decide whatever you want to just make the fact up. And then so you can I got all this information just from Ancestry essentially, and once again just builds up a picture in my mind of where she was living and how she lived her life, which is what I'm interested in. So it gives you hints as well, which you also get on Find My Past and also on Family Search. And I have to tell you, sometimes the hints are just rubbish, but sometimes they're really, really good. And, you know, it depends. You just have to review them. Sometimes they, as I said, sometimes they're really useful and sometimes they're not. So, and you also get access to other family trees. So you can also, in the gallery, add up. So I had her death certificate, so I've added that to it. You can add a photo. We'll just add a photo, upload a photo. I'll show you. It's really easy to do because I have one I prepared earlier. This is her here, and photograph of her. So just upload the photo, and then you can, that's her there, photograph. And then in description, I would put, which I won't do this now, I'd put something that was from the Monbulk Historical Society. So you can upload a photo. And that's really nice, you know, upload photos of your ancestors. So that's very quickly Ancestry family trees. I think they're really useful and I think they're really good. So you just have to decide, though, whether you want your family tree online so everyone can see. So you can make your trees private, but, you know, the point is that you're putting them up there on Ancestry and they only, like, they've got access to it. It's like Facebook, you know, whether you want all your life online. So that's a decision you have to make. So in summary, you really need them all because there's information you get on Find My Past that you don't get on Ancestry and vice versa. Sometimes you get the images on Find My Past, you're not going to get them on Ancestry. Sometimes you find it all in Family Search. So Family Search, as I said, you can use from home anytime, it's free. But my advice for you is if you can't afford it, you don't want to pay for Ancestry or Find My Past, go and visit the library and log onto our Wi-Fi. You can do it if you're in the car park at Cranbourne near the library. I think at Hampton Park as well. You can actually access our Wi-Fi from the car park or go to the library and use one of our computers or use your laptop, but you need to actually log in to Find My Past and Ancestry through our website, which is on the handout Michelle will send you. And then just play around with them and have a look at them and see if they have what you want. Or else decide that you're going to use another family history program, such as we talked about the first week, Legacy or those other ones, and then just get the records you want, download them, save them to USB, take them home, add them to your family tree at home, or print them out, whatever you want to do. So just come to the library and play around with them. And as I said, if you're subscribing to one, I would go for Ancestry over Find My Past. That's probably a personal thing, but I still believe they have a better range of material, and maybe that I'm more familiar with it. But you know, it's up to you what you want to do. So just remember the other thing too, if you have your family tree on Ancestry and you stop subscribing, you can actually apparently still access your family tree even though you stop subscribing, because they don't take them down, but you can't add information to it. So you do really lose control over it. So that's the other thing you have to decide. If you don't want to continue paying $300 a year or $200, I don't know how much it costs, whatever dollars a year for Ancestry or Find My Past, if you have your family tree on it, you know, you don't, you're not going to have access to it if you stop subscribing, or you have less access to it and less control over it. So that is a very quick look at those three databases.